All right, you know the deal. We are back for another high ticket sales call role play. We're going to jump into a high ticket dating offer. Bradley is going to be the closer on this. Harry is going to play the prospect, and we're going to dive into the discovery. Whatever it is you are selling, the discovery is your highest leverage activity to master. Master your discovery. You will enjoy selling. You'll have deeper conversations. Your prospects will open up. You will close more deals without having to handle as many, if any, objections or doing follow up. You will earn more money as a high ticket closer and you'll be able to build the life of your dreams. So, without any further ado, Bradley, kick us off with your opening question.
All right, so Harry, I heard your conversation with Kevin, got all those details. I'm curious, what would you say is the biggest problem you are having with your dating life right now?
Yeah, good question. I would say there's a few specific challenges I'm having. Firstly, really just meeting women. I'm a lawyer. I'm a partner at a law firm. I'm pretty busy. So it's difficult for me, one, to find the time. I'm not young anymore. I don't go out to the bars and like pick up girls with my friends like I used to. I'd say that's probably the biggest issue in terms of just meeting people. And I do feel like I know social media is a big thing nowadays. I don't have a social media presence at all. I've tried dating apps, but haven't really had any luck with them. So, one part of this is having a time and like actually going out and trying to meet women. And the second part is like, I just don't feel like I have a system or approach that I really believe in to create those opportunities for me, if that makes sense.
Got it. So you feel as though you do not have the time to meet these women that you talk about. And also, even if you were to meet these women, you feel as though you don't have an actual system to attract the right type of woman. Is that correct?
Correct.
Got it. And
Be
so,
careful. Be careful on the time thing because you don't want to put words in his mouth that he doesn't have the time in general. It's that the current way that he's been attempting to meet and attract women isn't something that he's able to get results with his current schedule. It's slightly nuanced. It's not, I don't have time to meet women or I don't have time to try and get women into my life. It's with the time I have available, the way I'm trying to do it isn't pumping out results. Does that make sense? Slightly nuanced, but you got to be careful you don't put in his mouth, oh, yeah, you don't have any time. Does that make sense?
so you're saying with the limited amount of time he does have, the system that he's using isn't allowing him to be as efficient.
Well, yeah, even as efficient's leaning off the pain a bit too much. It's, you know, efficiency of zero, not getting the results he wants. So I would be framing it as okay. So what I'm hearing, Harry, is you're a busy guy, you're a lawyer, you're a partner in a law firm, and what you've been attempting to do with your schedule hasn't been getting you the results in terms of the efforts you've been putting in versus the time you've got available. That just isn't working right now. Is that accurate? Yes.
Mhm.
You're relating the results you're getting versus the time, and it's this duality between the two things, as opposed to you don't have time. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Okay,
Okay. All right.
I'm going to
Keep
try
going.
that again.
All right.
So, Harry, you're a busy guy, you're a lawyer, and you feel as though the time that you have, the systems that you are using, the results that you're getting with the system that you're using is not in accordance with the time that you actually have to do it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say so.
Got it. And so, I guess overall, what is your dating life looking like right now?
Oh, it's
Too vague. Timeline. Give it a timeline.
So, overall, within the past month, how many dates would you say you've been on?
yeah,
And then I
good
would
question.
contextualize it as well to his time availability. Keep stacking everything together. Give that a shot. I don't
Mm,
want to tell you what to say, but give it a shot stacking it together.
got it. Okay. So, Harry, within the past month, how many dates would you say you've been on with the limited amount of time that you have?
And stack in the quote unquote system, lack of system. Try and stack it
Okay.
all together.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So, Harry, within the past month, how many dates would you say you've been on with the lack of time that you have and the system that you are using that is not currently giving you as much success as you'd like?
Yeah,
Much
I've
better.
been on zero dates in the last month.
Zero. Okay. What about the month of December? How many dates have you been on then?
Month of December, one date.
One date.
Mhm.
Okay. So one date in the past 60 days. Let's do one more. What about the month of November?
No, don't, because it's so small, zoom out.
Okay. So one date in the past 60 days. How many dates have you been on in the last 6 months?
Again, keep it contextual. And so, because I want you to keep it contextual, I would start with the context and then ask a question. Again, I don't want to tell you what to do. See
I
how
see.
you take that.
Okay. I think I see what you're saying. So, given the fact that you've only been on a one date for the past 6 months and your time is limited, how many dates have you been on in the past 6 months? I think I fucked that up.
No, go the other way around. So, something more like this. So you mentioned you're a busy guy, and in the last 60 days, given your time constraints and the way you've been trying to meet women, you've only been on one date. So what I'm curious about is how long has it been that you've had this time constraint and you've been trying to fix that with the way that you've been trying to get dates? Over what time period has that been your situation?
Yeah, so I was married. I got divorced actually about 6 months ago. So I've only
Okay.
really been seriously looking to date for probably the last 4 months. I've been
Okay.
on one date in that time period.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to ask you next. So
Yeah.
if Harry hadn't have said that, fine, he said it. I would have then said, okay, so for 4 months, you've been busy and the way you've been trying to get dates hasn't fitted in with your schedule. How many total dates have you been on? One. You see, the way I'm trying to get to the data is as efficiently as possible rather than how many did you go on this month? Fine. How many did you go on last month? Also a small number. Let's just go back month by month by month. That would just take too long. So the better way to get the data is to zoom out and say, okay, so the problem is that you're a busy guy and the way you're trying to get dates isn't getting you results given your time constraint. How long have you been both busy but also trying to get dates with the way that you're doing? Oh, that's been 2 years. Okay, interesting. So using that methodology for 2 years, if you were to ballpark the number, how many total dates have you been on with different women? Oh, it's been 3 years. Wow. So the way you've been trying it for 2 years has only generated you three whole dates. That's it. You see how I'm stacking the comparison between what are you doing and how long have you been trying it versus what the results have been?
Yes, and
Illuminating, as UM says, the history of failure, illuminating their history of failure. It's just a much more streamlined way to get there. Make sense?
it sounds like at the same time as well, you're starting to build that ownership. Like, holy shit, you've been doing this for the past 3 years. You haven't gotten any results. Why have you continued to do that? And you're just
Correct.
doing that early on. Okay, I see.
Correct. So let's
I
go
got
from
it.
where I just ended up. I want you to change the prospect, Harry, just because it will give us a better discovery. You've
Okay.
been trying the way that you've been doing it for 2 years. Let's just go
Okay.
with that avatar. So you jump in from there, Bradley, and I want to see where you're going to go from here because it's very specific where you should go. So let's see where you go, given that he's been trying this for 2 years and he's only had 3 dates in 2 years. Okay, go from there.
So, considering the fact that you've been trying this methodology for the past 2 years and you've only had 3 dates from it, when exactly did you realize that this methodology wasn't the best way to go for now?
Better, there's a better question.
Okay, wait,
What's
wait.
what's interesting about someone doing something that isn't really working for 2 years? What's interesting about that?
The length of time that they've been doing it.
Why is that interesting?
Because if it's not working, why have you continued to do that for so long?
Yeah, like Fiona said, that you've been trying this for 2 years. It's only generated you 3 dates. Why are you still trying? Because what I'm leaning more into is the burning pain of, well, it must be pretty important that you've been still trying this for 2 years for such limited results rather than just saying fuck dating. Now that's where the pain is. He's clearly unhappy being single. You see how it's leaning, the curiosity takes you to the pain. It's not why do you think it hasn't been working after 2 years? Yes, that's going to get you later on in the call more towards solutions and ownership, but we're on the pain point of the call right now. If someone's been trying something for 2 years and it's had such limited results, what's going on? And then if we stack it to the data as well, so you're a very busy guy. You've got a successful profession. You're a lawyer. You don't work in McDonald's. But despite being so busy and having a good career, you've committed 2 years to trying to get a date, having only got 3 results. Correct me if I'm wrong, Harry, but it sounds like this is pretty important to you to get this figured out, given that you haven't given up after 2 years with so few dates. You
Yeah.
see how
I
that's
mean,
leaning in that direction as opposed to why didn't it work? This is connecting with the human being. Human being, he's a lawyer. Human being, he's busy. Human being, he's only had 3 dates for 2 years. Human being, he's still trying. Those 4 human being facts are much more important than let's go into sales mode and try and find a solution.
Hmm.
Connect with the person first. All right, go from there, Bradley.
Thank you. It's so fucking obvious when you say it too. All right. So, Harry, I mean, considering the fact that for the past 3 years, you being a very busy man, you trying this system that hasn't been working at all. You've only gone on 2 dates. I
mhm.
mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like this is very important to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty lonely, right? Like I'm busy. I spend all this time working. I was married in the past. I've been in some serious relationships, but the last 3 years, it's been pretty painful, to be honest. And the fact that like I'm working extremely hard, I feel like I've built a pretty decent life for myself. And at the end of the day, I feel like I've got no one to share it with. So yeah, I definitely wanna find someone who I can be with.
And in terms of not being able to find that person that you can be with for the past 3 years, what exactly about that is so painful to you right now?
He gave you the word, but you need more data on it. The word is sharing. That's what you need more clarity around. So go there.
So, in terms of not being able to find the woman for the past 3 years to share your life with, what exactly do you mean when you say sharing?
I mean, like I've spent 20 years of my life working hard, putting myself in a position to be able to provide. And that's really what drives me. And that's why I got into doing what I do. I take my work very seriously. And despite all of that effort, if the kind of core reason I was doing it is to provide, have a family, etc., and I've kind of got to the top of the mountain, but I'm here alone, it's just stressful, it's painful, it's lonely.
Got it. So, correct me if I'm hearing you wrong, but it's the fact that you've been working hard for the past 20 years. You've realized a fair bit of success and you've struggled to the top.
Hmm.
But the dichotomy between you doing that and not being able to share it with someone, that's what's stressful and that's what's painful. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's lonely.
It's not quite though. Like the real thing was that he said his core reason. It's not just you've been working hard, you got to the top of the mountain, now you're there, you thought you were going to share it with someone, and now you're lonely. It's more powerful to say something like this. And again, it's not the word track, it's that I'm focusing on something different to what you focused on. So, what I'm hearing, Harry, is that for all your adult life, your core reason to live and to do what you do and to commit to what you commit to was to provide and to share that provision with someone. And now you're working hard still, you're escalating in your career, you're a lawyer, but you don't have that core reason anymore to be doing any of that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, the core reason is still there. Like, it's still my motivation, but it's like, despite all of the hard work, I've not really fulfilled that core reason, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sorry if I miscommunicated that. I'm not saying you don't still have the same core reason. What I mean is you haven't been able to engage in that core reason.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
And
spot on.
so, if you haven't been able to engage in that core reason, which you're essentially saying is your lifeblood, what is your life like right now? To just be going to work every day, putting in time, putting in work, but not having the ability to connect that to your real core reason.
Yeah, it's tough.
See,
Yeah.
pause there. That's the point where Harry's gonna be like, because I'm connecting it to the real thing, which is his core reason to do everything was blank, blank, blank. If you don't have, and I miscommunicated, it's not that you don't have the core reason, it's you can't engage in that core reason. Notice that I'm not now having a conversation about dating. Well, how's your life and your career that you are still doing all of that, but it's not connecting to your core reason? We're not talking about women right now. We're talking about the fact that his life sucks because his core reason for life was to earn, to build, to create, to provide, but he's still doing all of those things. But as you would say, the rubber's not meeting the road. So he's basically, I wouldn't put these words in his mouth, but he's basically just going through the motions in life. Well, that's a pretty deadbeat way to live.
Yeah.
And so then I'm going to be really shifting the conversation more into, so how's work? Not shifting it to how's the women or how's the lack of women or how's your dating life. I'm shifting it to, so you're still going to work as a lawyer, and I'm not a lawyer, but I assume it's a pretty intense role to be doing all of that and kind of going through the motions of it, but it's not connecting to the core reason that you have to do it. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that must be affecting you at work. Oh yeah, man. Like I was due 3 promotions that I think I've missed because I'm kind of just checking in and checking out, or clocking in and clocking out. So now I'm not selling him a woman. I'm selling him, well, what did you earn last year? I earned 200,000. If you'd have got those 3 promotions, what would you be earning? Oh, 600,000. And this has been going on for 2 years. So you've lost 400,000 times 2. This has cost you $800,000 to have not got your dating life dialed in, which would allow you to connect to your core reason to basically live and basically work. Am I getting this correct? This has nearly cost you $1 million in 2 years. So notice how we're selling a dating offer, but I'm actually selling make money because it's a real scriptless conversation. So I don't know what I'm actually selling on the call until we understand the human being. You're selling a vehicle, you're selling a solution, but you don't know what that vehicle is to create. For this guy, it could actually be to create purpose in his career, not just sex. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think the reason that's important as well, so it's kind of a question takeaway, Josh, is like if he's been on 3 dates over the last 2 years, like very little of his like existence over the last 2 years has been interacting with women on dates. The vast majority of it has been like the meta, like, well, what has been going on outside of that?
Correct.
Everyday life being miserable because you're not fulfilling your purpose, essentially.
Correct.
There's like more meat there, essentially.
100%. Yeah, this guy's meat, so to speak, pun there. This
Gotta be
guy's
careful with that one.
life is less about the fact that he's not going on dates with women and what interacting with women would have been like or would have done for him. And it's more about what's life been like for 2 years to have been going through all of those career moves whilst not having it connected to your core purpose. Now, one thing that I would need to go a bit deeper on is, I can definitely understand. I'm certainly not trying to change your mind in any way, shape, or form, but tell me more about why your core reason to make money, to progress in life, to provide is to have a woman there. Like we need him to tie himself down on why he can't just take up kite surfing, right? Like you're a successful money making lawyer. Why don't you just take up bowling, professional bowling instead of needing a girlfriend? And you're never trying to change the prospect's mind. You're trying to allow them to explain it to you and explain it to themselves, which makes them feel heard. Does this make sense, folks?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Let's jump back
Yeah,
into the
and
and go
I might be
back.
jumping ahead here. Just a real quick question. Would it also be reasonable to go into why do you want to provide specifically for a woman? Like, can't you provide for like a family member or something like that?
Yeah. But just make sure that the way you're phrasing the question is, which for me, the safest way to do it is to literally say, I'm not trying to change your mind. Your views are your views. I'm just trying to understand it. So long as your intention, your tonality, and you might even just verbalize it, is clear that you're not trying to like judge them or change their mind, you can absolutely ask that question. But you just don't want it to come across of a way of like, well, why don't you just provide for a family member? And then like, fuck you. Like, that's not what I want. Why are you trying to change my mind? Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Let's jump back into
Okay,
the role play. You can
makes
go
sense.
back a few questions or go from wherever you want.
Awesome. All right. So, Harry, considering that your core reason for working the past 20 years to, you know, get to the level of success that you are at now was to provide. Given the fact that that hasn't happened and you're not able to engage with that core reason, how is work like?
Work is work. Definitely like I transitioned into being a partner around 3, 4 years ago now. So like I'm in a pretty senior position. I have a lot more flexibility, but I have noticed, despite kind of getting to where I have, like through my whole journey through law, like my goal was to become a partner at the firm I'm at now. So 3, 4 years ago when that happened, I felt a huge sense of achievement. But now I'm there, it's pretty mundane to be honest. I don't really have anything else that excites me in terms of next steps. I mean, I still turn up and do a good job because like I feel like that's my duty. But yeah, I mean, the best way I could describe it is work is work. It's just something I feel like I have to do at this point.
Got it. So you feel like something is work is something that you have to do at this point. It's been pretty mundane in the beginning. You were excited, but now it just seems like you're kind of living in Groundhog Day. Can you explain to me
So
exactly?
all of that recap diluted from what you could have said, which would have just been a really powerful question. In this context, that recap was just like diluting everything. He said what he said. There is a very powerful question that you could ask. See if you can guess what it is.
Okay.
He basically said, you know, my life's now just mundane. Work is work. What would be a very powerful question that would just smack him in the face right now? He's given you the data. He's given you the context. This is where you have to get creative.
It's mundane. Work is work
Why is work just work for him right now?
because he doesn't have anyone to provide for
So
with that
put that
work.
in. So put that into a question to him.
Okay. So,
No, notice,
so
guys, how you know the answers. You're just needing to get your brain whirring a little bit faster, but you already know the answers. How could you put that into a question to him?
so how exactly would having a partner take you away from the mundane reality? I feel like I'm going away from the
You're,
pain
you're
though.
on you're on the right lines, but you're overcomplicating it.
Yeah, I feel like I am. All right, wait, hold on. So, how does having a partner, or how does the lack of having the partner,
You're in sales mode. You're thinking way too hard.
Can I have a
yeah,
Just
I
try?
talk to
feel it.
just talk to him like a human being. The shortest way I could say it would be this. Now, I wouldn't actually say it this way, but I want you to see how condensed I can make it. What about if you had a partner?
Ah,
Smack in the face. Work's just work. It's mundane. What about if you had a partner right now? It's going to smack him in the face. And he's like, oh, shit. Now, the way I would phrase
yeah.
it to connect it all together a little bit better, but I want you to see how simple it is. I would say, would work just be work and mundane if you had a partner to provide for right now? Now, what have I done? I've connected it to the pain of your reality that you don't want, mundane, work just being work, to the simple solution is you need a partner. Now, that smacked him in the face with the pain, but also the cause of the pain is dot connecting. Pain, simple cause of the pain, get a partner. Life is not going to be just mundane and work is just going to be work. Notice how all of you were like, what would make it not just work, or what are you doing for a living right now, or what is not exciting anymore? You're all in sales mode. You're trying way too hard to turn it into a sales question. Human to human, person says, my life's just mundane right now. It's just I'm just going through the motions. Work is just work. What if you had someone to provide for? That's all you need to say. What if you had someone to provide for? Now, probably a little bit better way to say it. What if you had a woman to provide for, to get the word woman in there? What if you had a woman to provide for right now? Because now what you're smacking him in the face with is the truth, the reality of shit. Like, yeah, if I did have a partner right now, my whole reality, my whole existence would change. And then now what we're selling him is not a girlfriend for $20,000 paid in full, a fucking AI robot girlfriend. What we're selling him is a completely new existence. His current entire existence is mundane. working just for working. When you are offering someone an entirely new existence, day to day to day, every day when you wake up, go to work, think about work, get home from work, repeat again, how much would it be worth to you for all of that to be worth something? That is priceless. That's worth a hell of a lot more than a $20,000 paid in full. Whereas if you're trying to sell someone a girlfriend, no disrespect to the ladies here, it would be exactly the same for the guy. They're like, oh, blonde hair, blue eyes, yeah, 20K paid in full. It's a bit expensive. Because all they're viewing it as is a partner, is a physical human being. Whereas when you're connecting it to their entire reality and how life is for them, they're like, that's worth every penny I've got. Because what's the point in being alive but being dead inside? Just makes sense. So don't think of things from a sales point of view, guys, or you just wrap yourself up in like, well, how do I phrase it like a sales question? Just talk to him like a human being. All right, go from there, Bradley, or go back a little bit and then rock and roll.
I do have a quick question. I was kind of trying to say that, but I don't know why I was like over articulating it, trying to sound like, I don't know, fucking Sherlock Holmes or something. But because the part of me that was struggling with trying to word that question is I didn't want it to sound too like future pacey. So I guess how do you make that distinguish? How do you distinguish the difference between it being a future paced type of question and it trying to smack him in the reality he's in right now?
I hear you. The language could definitely be like, well, would it be, or what would your life be like if you had a partner is certainly future pacing language, but we're using the question based on the present of like right now, his present reality is mundane, work for the sake of work. What would it be like today? In other words, the inverse of that is you're currently not living that life. We're using the question to focus on the present moment, but I agree the wording of it could be, well, what happens in 6, 12, 18 months? If you did have a partner, how would life be? Oh, let me imagine the future would be so much better. Whereas we're having a conversation about the present right now, and he's saying my day-to-day life right now is mundane, working just for the sake of work. What if you had a partner? Oh shit. And now immediately he's thinking of the present, even though the phrasing of the question is, a future-based question. So this is where you got to understand, like sometimes the words you use, you think they're future-based words, but the reaction of that question is making Harry feel something in the present. Does that make sense? So don't worry
Yes,
too much about
100%.
the words necessarily. It's kind of like the adage of like, don't think about a pink elephant. Well, the word was don't, but you did think about a pink elephant. So the words don't necessarily connect to the reaction of the words. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you're saying like, well, what if you had a partner? That if is a hypothetical word and is a future-based word, but the reaction to Harry is a present-based feeling of like, wow, my life would be totally different right now today. Not my life will be different in the future. It's my life today would be different. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're enjoying this training. Now, if you're brand new to the channel, you can skip this. But if you've been watching my videos for weeks or months, you've gotten value, you've implemented, you're making more money because of it, the question I have for you is, what are you doing still sitting on the outside? Are you someone who's going to continue to just watch free content when deep down being on the inside, being mentored by me directly, being around other unicorn closers is the thing that would take you to the next level? If you think you're getting value from the free content I'm putting out here on YouTube, what do you think happens inside the mastermind? So if you know you're ready, if you're at that point, you've seen what you needed to see, click the link below this video, jump inside. I'll see you there. Now back to the training.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not future hypothetical, it's just hypothetical, right? Because you're talking about the present. It's not actually anything to do with the future. It's just like, what if today was different?
Yep. All right, keep going from there. Good question.
Got it. Okay, so Harry, you say your day-to-day life at work is mundane. What if you had a partner?
Yeah, I think it would be very different, hence why I'm on the call with you, exploring some options here. I think there's two reasons why, in my mind, it would be different. One, like being in this position now,
So
I have
like
a lot.
I would have cut him off. Why would I have cut him off, even though what he's about to say is very useful? It's not that useful because he said, I think. So everything else that he's about to say is possible. Whereas I don't really care what you're about to say. If it might help. It might help for this reason. It might help for that reason. It might help for that reason. Well, before you go off and explain the 3 reasons it might help, let me tie you down to just before you go into the different reasons so that, we're on the same page. I'm not wasting your time. You're not wasting my time. Would it change your life, or is it might possibly maybe change your life? No, it definitely would change my life. Okay, got it. In what way would it definitely change your life? Notice how before they waste the clock and waste time going off for 30 seconds, well, if it might, then I may as well cut you off. And this is where your focus is keeping on the truth, keeping on the truth, keeping on the truth. If we're deviating from the truth, the worst thing you can do is let someone, it's like a fishing line, like let the fish take the line out as far as it can go. It's like, no, lock the line down before the fish runs off with the line, because then you've got to reel it all back in again. All right? Go from there.
Harry, I'd like to practice cutting you off for a second.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would make a difference. That's why I'm on a call with you, right? The
Oh,
reason.
sorry, Harry. Just to be clear, I appreciate the fact that you say you think it might be different, but in terms of having a partner, do you think it'll make a difference, or is there anything that you're certain it'll make a difference in terms of your work being mundane?
Yeah, no, it will certainly make a difference. I know
So
that
so
because
so because you've unwound him, you need to tie down the unwind. He's changed his mind. So you need to tie down that change.
Got it.
So what do you
Okay.
need to do now?
So a second ago you said you think it might make a change, and now you seem fairly certain that it will definitely make a change. So I
Mhm.
guess what changed within the past 5 seconds?
That's fine, but it's a little bit aggressive. What changed in the
Yeah.
past is like, there's a better way to say it, leading with curiosity. But you're
Okay.
doing the right thing, but do it with curiosity.
Okay. Got it. So, I guess, Harry, is there any particular reason why you felt like things could possibly change to going from being absolutely certain that things could possibly change?
That
All right.
question confused me a
One
bit.
other change. It's less about why did you change your mind? And the curiosity is, why did you say one thing before and then now you're saying something different? What I'm trying to uncover is like, why did you initially say that it might help, but now you're saying it will help? What's the reasoning, Harry, behind why you initially led with, I'm not certain this will, but actually deep down you are certain it will? Because this is where we're getting to the root cause of the problem. The root cause of Harry's problem is not that he doesn't have women and therefore he doesn't have a core reason to be doing his work. The root cause of the problem is he's in denial. He's like, it would help, it wouldn't help. I haven't committed, I haven't decided. Do you think part of the problem, once we get to this, do you think part of the problem is that something that you know is going to have a dramatically positive, life changing impact on you is something that you've continued to tell yourself as some type of coping mechanism? Oh, maybe it would help, maybe it wouldn't. Do you think that's part of the problem as to why you haven't actually committed to the changes that you need to make or the assistance that you need to get this solved once and for all? Yes. So why haven't you committed to determining once and for all that this is critical for you? Well, the thing is, Bradley, I'm scared, and I think it's going to be hard work and blah blah blah. What's that just done? Pulled out all of the objections that you're now going to handle in the discovery, and then you're not going to get them at the end of the call. So this is why when I say to people, I didn't get fucking objections, they're like, I don't believe you. It's not that I didn't get them, it's that I didn't get them at the end of the call, and they didn't come up because the prospect just came up with them. I sucked them out of the call. So I was proactively covering everything that needs to be covered. So at the end of the call, there was no surprise of like, oh, yeah, I need to pray on it. No, you don't need to pray on it. You're just saying that because you're scared because we haven't talked about the fact that you were scared. Whereas I want to bring that stuff up during the discovery by getting to the root cause of everyththis. Does this make sense? So if
Yes.
someone says like,
Yes.
something that's going to be critical to improve my life, yet 2 seconds ago I was like, it might help. That's the fucking root cause of the problem, because that doesn't add up. And again, you're never judging the prospect. You're never attacking them. You're certainly not aggressive. You're like, I'm empathizing with you. I'm curious. Why is there something that you know is going to help you so much that you're telling yourself, even though you've just admitted to me and yourself, you know it's not true, that it might help? Oh, well, the real thing is blank, blank, blank. And then handle that. And when you handle the deepest, deepest, deepest thing, by the way, in many regards, that's the end of the discovery. Not the end of the discovery that you might have some other logistical things to tie down. Why us? Why now? Blah, 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 blah. But it's the end of the discovery in the sense of you and the prospect now know you, the closer, are a fucking expert and they want to buy from you. At the point when you've got to the real deep shit, their idea of giving you $14,000 paid in full, that's not a problem for them anymore. Because they're like, this person's a fucking person that does interventions. Like, I need to stay working with them. This is the moment where you delete the price objection of like, or trust and price. Like, oh, I'm not really sure. When the prospect can see you've really uncovered the root cause of everything. Because nobody else is doing that on sales calls. Nobody else is doing that in their life. Does this make sense? You look very intense, Bradley.
No, this is so it's like really fucking cool, like seeing it from this perspective and getting that feedback immediately. Like yeah, it's I'm trying to take it all in. Pause.
Yeah. It's why you got to be on the inside of the role plays, guys. You will get a very different perspective when you're getting real-time feedback on your discovery, on your call, on your offer to your avatar. All right. Whenever you're ready, Bradley, jump back in. You can go back a few questions or wherever you want to go from.
Awesome. All right. Wait, let me just lost my train of thought a little bit.
So if you want
Oh,
to,
so
where we could go is from Harry saying, I think you've interrupted him. He's now said definitely, and then we jumped out the role play there.
Yeah.
got it. I'll backtrack one question. So, Harry, is there any particular reason why at first you said you think it might help, and now you're saying you are definitely certain it might help? Is there any reason why you said two different things there?
Yeah, good question. Maybe it was an automatic response. It feels like, I don't know, I didn't put that much thought into it. I guess because it hasn't happened yet, it's kind of a little part of me is hesitant to kind of face that truth.
What truth?
The truth that right now, my day-to-day existence isn't something that really fulfills me and something I'm super proud of, but I'm just living out anyway. And I know I do want to share that with someone and build a family, but right now it doesn't feel like I'm anywhere near that.
And where are you at mentally right now in terms of the willingness to fully face that truth 100%?
Yeah. I guess that's why I booked in the call, right? I don't think it makes sense. I guess having this conversation with you has made me realize that maybe I wasn't even aware that I wasn't facing that fully. But in terms of where I'm at now, yeah, I mean, I don't want to pretend that this isn't a problem and this isn't my reality when I've been living it for the last 4 or 5 years.
So this is a catch. You will hear this as a closer and you will think you've got him. You have 3 or 4 more tie downs deeper of like, yes, I hear you and I hear why you booked the call and I understand that you've realized the truth, but let's go deeper into why for however long it's been, probably need to ask that question. You've been in denial. You need to go 4 more layers deeper into that. Because if you hear this as a closer and you hear the prospect say, oh, you're fantastic, Mr. Closer, Mrs. Closer, because of this call, you've made me realize XYZ. I'm now ready. I'm on the call. Let's go. You'll hear that and you'll think you've tied them down, but you haven't. You're at the surface of tying them down. You've only just found where you need to start digging. Now you need to start digging. Okay. All right. Keep
Yeah.
going from there.
See, that's real quick. That's the difference, Josh, because historically I would take that and I'd say PIF
Oh,
time,
yeah.
right?
Fantastic.
Amex Discovery, whatever. And then they're like, oh, that's a lot of money. That's
Because
where you
this
start.
this is more than enough to sell someone if the price was free. right? Like, oh, he's decided he's ready to go. Okay, cool. Let me take you through my $1 million pitch. What's the price? Oh, it's free. Okay, cool. I'm ready to change. Off we go. No, no, no. It's 15,000 fucking dollars. This is not enough to make someone give you $15,000. Does that make sense? Like, it's enough for someone to say they've had the realization, they've made the change, they're gonna turn up to some fucking dating boot camp. Fine. But when you tell them it's 15 grand for them to turn up to the boot camp, all of a sudden you hadn't gone deep enough. Make sense? All right.
Got it. So, Harry, I can definitely appreciate the fact that you're willing to come face to face with the truth 100%. I guess what I'm still a little bit confused about is why have you been in denial for the past 4 years?
Yeah. I mean, maybe I don't even know the answer to that. I didn't feel like this was something I was in denial about, but now we have the conversation. The only thing I can think of is the fact that like I have tried to go on dates, right? Like I said, I went on 3 dates over the last 2 years. I know it's far and few between, but I've tried and nothing's worked out. So I guess instead of maybe facing the truth that there is something I'm doing that's not working out, it was easier for me to kind of
Let
just
me,
push it down.
I hear you. Let me ask you a question. Those times where you've attempted to figure it out and you've tried different things out, what
Yeah.
attitude did you have then? Did you have the attitude of meeting a woman would be a nice to have and it might make a difference in your life, it might not make a difference in your life? Or when you tried those things and you've been attempting this over the last 2.5, 3 years, did you have the attitude of, this is essential for my life. This is life changing. This is critical. I have to get this done because my entire existence relies on this. Which of those two attitudes did you have?
I definitely had the attitude of this is very important to me.
Okay, that's interesting then. So why, if you had such an attitude of this is so important, so it doesn't sound like it was a motivation issue. If you
Hmm.
had that attitude, why do you think, given that attitude and 2, 3 years of trying this, you still haven't been able to get this handled?
Yeah, good question. So I would say when I'm referring to that attitude, it's like when I know there's a date, I'm on the date, I'm kind of excited in the talking stage with someone. I was taking that really seriously. But I think when it didn't quite work out how I wanted to, maybe I let it beat me down a little bit. I didn't really like get back into trying to find another date or really putting the effort in, I guess, to really get the results I want. I feel like when I had the opportunity, I was excited, but when it didn't go my way, I probably was a bit disheartened.
Hmm. Because correct me if I'm wrong here, but it sounds like the issue that you have as to why you haven't been able to meet the right partner to provide for, which would give you, the feeling like you can embrace that core reason for the rest of your existence,
Hmm.
isn't because when you have an opportunity, you're not taking it seriously. It sounds like it's because your attitude towards putting yourself in an abundance of opportunities hasn't been that commitment level of, I need to have opportunities and I need to do whatever it takes, as much as it takes, to fill my life up with opportunity. Does that make sense?
Correct. I would say I feel like the reason why is because I actually haven't really known what to do. I felt pretty lost. And I think because of that, I've been in this denial headspace of like, you know what, let me just put it to the back of my mind.
But which comes first? Knowing that creating options and having opportunity and having an abundance is critical, and therefore you will find and take action on whatever it is, or when I find the thing that I need to do, then I'll feel like having options is so important. Which one comes first?
You lost me a little bit there.
Because okay, so what I'm hearing you saying is, you know, you hadn't taken it at this very high level of seriousness to meet women. We're not talking
Mhm.
about when you go on the date. We're talking
Yeah.
about having an abundance of women. And if I heard you correctly, you said the reason for that is because you didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But to find what to do and to lock in on that, correct me if you disagree, would require that you were first and foremost committed and serious and taking it as, without over exaggerating here, life or death, that
Hmm.
you need to get that figured out. But what I'm hearing from you is the absolute opposite, which is I would only take it that seriously if and when I come across a solution that I know is the right thing. Does that make
Got it.
sense?
Yeah. So what happened is I definitely did have that level of commitment maybe like 3 years ago. And then I just
Okay.
wasn't getting the output I wanted. Somewhat jaded. You're 100% right. My commitment to going out and creating opportunity, I give up a little bit because I just didn't know what to do. And then
Hmm.
the motivation went, time passed, and I guess I just accepted this as like it is what it is.
Hmm. And so, I don't know your spiritual beliefs. You don't have to share them with me. You might have the belief that you just randomly came across us because, we put an ad in front of you, whatever. My
Mm.
belief might be similar to yours is something shifted inside of you that was, I need to get this handled. And then the opportunity, or as you called it, what to do, presented itself. If you've ever heard the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, that sort of thing. So, what I'm curious is, was there any type of psychological shift for you or commitment shift for you as far as like something that happened in the last 30, 60, 90 days where you said, I know I've not been fully committed to getting opportunities over the last 3 years since it didn't work out 3 years ago. Because of XYZ, I am now committed to figuring this out. Was there something that happened?
I don't think there was something that happened other than seeing your approach, the way you guys do things is new to me. Like I've tried the dating apps, I've been on the dating apps the whole time. I just don't really meet many women in my day-to-day life through work. So it was really seeing what you guys done showed me that potentially there is a different way, and that's what piqued my interest.
Okay. I hear you. It's typically not what I've seen as far as, you know, loads of people see adverts, but if it's not something that they were fully committed to taking an action on, the
Mm,
advert would have just gone over their head. They wouldn't have really paid much attention to it. So,
yeah.
has your lack of having someone to share life with gotten worse recently as far as the way that's affected you, or
Mm,
some other outside thing shifted that you're like, I now need to get this handled? Before you carry on, I'm going to pause the role play. What I'm doing, guys, is I'm politely saying, I don't believe you and I'm not moving on because that won't make a sale.
mm,
I'm basically asking the same question again, but I'm just not going to move on. Because if the person's like, oh, I just saw an advert and I like your style, so, you know, I click the ad. Well, people aren't going to give you 15 grand because they liked your VSL. They're going to give you 15 grand because they are in a burning problem right now. And that is why they manifested the VSL using the spiritual laws here. And that's why they clicked on the VSL. So you have to kind of use in a polite way without projecting them onto the prospect. You have to use your understanding of reality on a sales call. You're all in this mastermind because you understand that reality isn't random. Reality happens as a reflection of who we are showing up as. If we show up as someone that's committed to getting XYZ solved, we'll start seeing adverts for that thing. We'll Google search it, we'll YouTube view it, we'll see adverts for it. That's how it works. So you have to kind of use some of these personal realizations on your sales calls without projecting it onto the prospect. Does that make sense?
yeah, can I ask a question on that?
Of course you can, Harry.
Because I noticed there, and I don't think I've ever seen you do this, maybe once or twice before, like you shared your perspective and opinions, which is like we kind of get told, like I've heard you say, like you don't exist on the sales call, you're a vessel, you're a mirror. You don't need to say your opinions. Like what inspired you to do that here?
Well, so I hear you. I'm not soapboxing because I'm not telling you. I said, this is my view, might not be the same as you, but in my experience, blank, blank, blank. As
Mm,
opposed to me saying, well, what you have to believe and what you have to do is this because my experience is blank. Soapboxing is where you're telling the prospect, you have to believe this. You have
mm.
to do this. You have to get more leads. You have to do this. You have to do that. I'm just using my experience to say politely, backing off. It's not what I've seen. You might agree, you might disagree. I'm curious. Have you had this experience or this experience or this experience? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was more the part where you was like, my spiritual beliefs are XYZ. But if I'm understanding right, you're more like I understand you're not soapboxing. It was just interesting to hear you shared like a personal outlook, but it sounds like you've done that to contextualize the question, essentially.
Correct. I'm
Okay.
not doing it to project onto you what you have to do. I'm trying to explain, so the prospect, you, doesn't think, well, I just answered that question. Why am I answering the same question again?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Got it.
Keep going from there if you want. Harry?
Got it.
Oh, you can
All
go,
right.
Riley. Yeah, sure. You go from there
Oh,
then.
yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna kind of say what you said in a different way. So yeah, I hear you. It makes sense. You saw our advertisement and that new method sparked the curiosity in you to book the call. But
Mm.
typically, what we see, or typically what I've seen, and please correct me if this is wrong, but usually when someone invests the time to book into a call for an hour of their time, especially you being a busy lawyer, and then they show up,
Great
usually
contextualizing.
there's
Sorry, great contextualizing. Adding in, because you're a busy lawyer, this is even more valid. Very good.
thank you. Uh, what was I saying? Sorry. So
Sorry.
because no, you're good, you're good. I guess I'm just curious, what was there any sort of uh shift recently or anything going on in the job or the work that has you saying, okay, this is something that I need to take a lot more seriously now than I have in the past?
Not particularly. I feel like I've been open to getting this solved for a while now, a good few months, good few years, to be honest. I've just kind of been in a state
But
of
the problem is, Harry, is, and you can disagree if you want. You're saying that the way you've been showing up towards the way you're showing up towards this now
Mhm.
is the same way you've been showing up, in your opinion, for months or years.
Yeah.
Well, have you got this side of your life solved?
No, that's why I'm here.
Well, do you think if you continue to show up in the same way or a similar way that you have been for months or years,
Mm.
how is something going to change?
It won't. Yeah,
So,
I
what I'm trying to
will agree.
understand is, and maybe the answer is no, in which case there probably wouldn't be much more for us to have a conversation about. Has something changed recently in the way that you're showing up towards getting this side of your life solved? Because, as you just agreed,
Mhm.
if it is just the same way you've been showing up for the last few years, the likelihood is you'll continue to get the same lack of results. So I'm just trying to understand. I don't want to put words in your mouth. The answer can be nope. I'm in the same position I was 3 years ago or over the last 3 years. But that just wouldn't, from what we've seen with our clients that have been successful, that wouldn't give you a high likelihood to have a different result to what you have had over the last 3 years. So I don't
Mhm.
want you to get annoyed with me feeling like I keep asking the same question, but it's because if nothing's changed, as you've probably heard the same before, nothing will change.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say what has changed isn't
Pause.
like,
So you see what I'm doing? Like I'm not telling him to say something's changed, but I'm like inviting him more, inviting him more, inviting him more. Like, because what your philosophy as a closer at this point has to be, have I done everything to help this person? And I only am going to get off the call knowing that my conscience will be clear. If I tell Harry in a couple minutes, no worries, we're not aligned. It was nice to get to know you. If anything changes in the future, wish you all the best. I don't want to get into that position, get off the call and think, maybe if I'd have pressed a little bit more, maybe there was something. I don't want to feel that, because then I feel guilty that I didn't serve the prospect. So this is an example of where your execution comes down to your philosophy. My philosophy is, I'm not going to force a sale, but I also don't want to get off a call thinking I could have pressed a bit harder. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, and I like how you contextualize asking that question in the third version by saying the people in our program that have the most success, typically something happened for them to get to that point to try that much harder. Um,
Correct. But I also contextualized it to Harry's personal situation, because otherwise it would have been too impersonal. If I'd have just said,
got it.
well, our students do XYZ and they get XYZ, that sounds like soapboxing. Whereas I
Yeah.
said,
Mhm.
well, your situation has been the same for 3 years. Have you got this solved? No. What do you think happens if you continue to show up in the same way? Well, nothing will change. Correct. And that's exactly the same as what we've seen with our students is They change their situation when something changes. So I'm connecting my experience to your personal situation. I don't want it to be just impartial. Now, when you get to a full unsell, because that was like an unsell light, that was like a half unsell. When you're in a full unsell, it's impartial. It's okay, cool. You're in this situation. Our clients are in this situation. This is what we're looking for anyone we bring into our program. You are not there right now. No worries at all. We're not aligned. At a full unsell, I'm just saying my boundary, what we bring someone into this program for, you don't possess right now. So goodbye. Whereas this like half unsell, I'm still trying to keep it in discovery
Mhm.
mode of like you're answering the questions as opposed to me just telling you you're not a fit. Make sense? Okay. All right. Keep going
Yeah.
from there. Full unsell.
So, Harry, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. If nothing happened, that's totally fine. I guess what I'm curious about, what, if at all, has changed for you to now want to put in the extra work and pursue a different avenue of doing things rather than the past 3 years of how you've done them?
Mm. Yeah. So I would, the only thing that comes to my mind is, like I said, it's not so much that I saw your ad specifically. Like I get these dating programs all the time. What really inspired me to book this call and have this conversation was I've tried the dating apps. I've tried to go out and meet women. It puts me in like bars and situations I don't want to be in. I don't have much success. I am busy, right? We've gone through this. I need a system that's going to allow me to have more leverage over my time. And seeing what you guys do, I hadn't seen anything like that before. In terms of kind of building that like social presence and kind of being able to attract people more organically. That really inspired me and gave me hope that potentially there is an option that will fit into my current lifestyle, which I didn't feel like I had before. I don't know if that helps.
Okay, understood. And so, with the bars and the dating apps and the methods that you've previously chosen to use, was there like a final straw, like I a moment where you said, I cannot do this anymore. This is not aligned with me anymore. Was there like a final straw?
Yeah, the last date I went on, which was probably, I think it was back in October, just went terribly. Feel like I got catfished, wasn't really aligned with the woman at all. And that's kind of when I said, I'm not doing dating apps anymore. And that kind of put me in a place of like, I'm not even going to go and try meeting women. Probably why I was in this weird denial phase. But yeah, I feel like you guys do something kind of different.
Okay. Uh, fair enough. Was there anything specifically terrible about that date that made you cut everything off from October to February?
Yeah.
See, like
One,
there's a more powerful question or a more powerful topic, which is and you're seeing it in the right way, but you're addressing it upside down. You're like, well, was there something so bad about the catfish date that you've not been dating for 4 months? What's more important is, well, okay, Harry, you had a date with a woman that obviously catfished or potentially catfished you. You've decided to not date for 4 months. I mean, if you've managed 4 months, why don't you just give up on this? Like, it's again, and Jacob pointed out in the chat, it's like he still didn't give us what we needed. So I'm going to kind of start leaning out. Well, you've managed 4 months. You didn't go on a date because one date that you went on catfished you. I mean, why don't you just continue to not date and focus on your career? I'm going to lean out to see if he leans in because so far he's not leaning in. He's leaned back out. He was leaning in before when he was saying, my core reasons this, blah 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 blah. But now he's like, oh yeah, I just saw your ad and I like it. Well, if that's your attitude, that is the same attitude as I got catfished, so I stopped dating for 4 months, despite this being the fundamental core reason to my existence. Can you see how like his mental model is fucked? His mental model is this is my core existence, but I got one catfish date, so I gave up on dating. And it goes back to the same exact point that we're trying to go in circles on, which is you are where you want to be in your dating life because you keep checking in and checking out and not taking it that seriously and then taking it seriously when you go on a date. You do not have a sustained, extremely high level of commitment to solving your dating life. So also another way I could handle this at this point is to summarize all of that and, say what I'm putting together as far as the tea leaves is blank. Does that make
Question,
sense? I would
question.
probably do it that way actually in hindsight. Yes, Harry, what's up?
So say you do that, and I'm not trying to be a difficult prospect, by the way. I'm just trying to like, this is useful for me as well. Say you do contextualize all of that, and I say, fuck, you know what? You're right. I haven't sustained that level of commitment throughout. The turning point still won't change, right? Unless I say that's the
Correct.
turning point right there. Okay, this is the turning point. Like,
Correct. So what are you going to do?
okay, cool. Makes sense. So you're basically
No, no,
saying,
no, I'm asking you. So what would you do as a closer?
oh, okay. So, I mean, would you not just quite be curious and question, like, okay, like, how come a minute ago you didn't seem clear that you wasn't that committed, but now after saying that, you've realized that potentially that is the cause of this problem? You just question them on
You
why.
could,
No?
but I feel like we've already done that.
Okay.
If the
Can you say, well, considering the fact that now you're aware that the level of commitment wasn't there, why not just go back to the dating apps or that stuff? Just be more
no,
committed to it.
because no, because he has said that he feels like the dating apps won't work for him and going to bars won't work and he doesn't want to go to bars because he's, older and he's a professional. So I don't feel like that's the real issue. Connect all of the dots together. It would go something like this. And again, don't worry about exactly how I phrase it because when I'm summarizing things, I know I'm going to make some slight mistakes. I'm trying to get as close to the truth as I can. So what I'm hearing, Harry, is this. There is a part of your life which is your core reason to be working, to be living, and that is to provide for a woman. You had that before when you were married. It's been 3 years since then that you've not had that. And because you haven't had that, life is mundane. Your entire day to day existence is just working for the sake of work. Is that accurate so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Since then, over 3 years, you've been on, I think we said 2 dates or 3 dates. Is that accurate?
3 days.
3 days. From my perspective, based on the answers to the questions I've asked you, the reason for that is very clear. And the reason for that is that instead of your motivation driving your results, you only get motivation as a result of getting some results. What I mean by that is instead of you being committed at a very high level and sustaining that commitment, which most likely would generate you consistent high level results, you have been of this mindset of, well, if I randomly get a date, then because I've got a date, I'll be excited for it and I'll be committed for it and I'll try to do my best.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what's happened is you've gone from, you know, this is an issue, it's not an issue. It's kind of an issue, it's not that big of an issue. I'll be motivated when I get a date. I won't be motivated. I won't be motivated to generate the dates. And so over 3 years, it sounds like the root cause of your problem is that you haven't simply decided to sustain a high level commitment to getting this solved. And then now what you're saying, if I've got this correct, is, oh, I've now realized that that's the root cause of my problem is you haven't been sustainably at a high commitment level. Is that all accurate so far?
Yep.
Okay. But because you hadn't had let's call it an intrinsic moment before this call where you realized you need to do something, my concern is you have a track record of being motivated when something external motivates you. For example, me. Me having this conversation with you is another example of external motivation. But your track record for 3 years is when that external motivation disappears, you don't intrinsically motivate yourself to solve this side of your life. Does that make sense?
Crystal clear. Yeah.
And so you won't get this solved until you have intrinsic motivation to get this solved.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only suggestion for there to ever be a reality where we would consider working with you, and we would do that based on the fact that you would get the results that you're looking for, is if you get to a point where it's intrinsically motivated, not because I've shone the light on this conversation for you to realize why you haven't solved your dating life. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I would suggest is the only possible way for us to work together is on this call today, we wouldn't consider bringing you into this program for the reason that I just shared. Because if you come in right now, it's off the back of me externally motivating you to do that, having a real conversation with you. What could happen is we get off this call, you go away on your own for 24 hours, and you think about things on your own by yourself. And you decide, without me there to hold your hand, yes, I need to get this solved. And if in 24 hours, internally, you realize the error of your ways has been 3 years of not internally motivating yourself, you can then text me and say, I know I need to do this for myself, not because of some external motivation. If in 24 hours you don't text me, then we both know what that means. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Everything you've said makes complete sense to me. I do believe this is something I want to do, and that's why I'm here. But if that's how you think it should go, I can respect that.
Well, you don't sound like you particularly agree with my assessment.
No, I do agree. I do agree. It's just like made me realize and think, well, you are right. Why haven't I, considering I know how important this is to me, and I said it to you, we had the conversation. Now I'm almost questioning myself as to, well, why have I almost self-sabotaged in this way?
Yep.
So just a lot to think about.
How long do you think you need to think about it and come to a conclusion that you've either had enough of not internally motivating yourself to connect
I've
with
had
your
enough.
core reason? Okay.
I've had enough. Yeah.
So what would you want to do from here?
I think based on this conversation, I want to work with you guys. I want to do this, not for you, for myself.
Okay. Well, I'm still not going to let you do that today on this call, but if you sleep on it and in the morning you are still of the same mindset, then you can text me. And when you text me, we'll jump on a call. I'll take you through all the details. And when we're going through those details, they will be details that you are listening to from internal motivation, not because of this call. So previously I said 24 hours, that would be, midday tomorrow. At a minimum, the right thing for you to do so that you don't waste another year of chopping and changing back and forth between between having something to externally motivate you and not having something to externally motivate you, the right thing for you to do is sleep on it. And if you wake up tomorrow and you feel the same level of commitment that you feel right now, then we can help you. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
How do you feel about that?
Makes sense. I see from the perspective of you guys as a business, you want me to come in and get results. I can respect that. I
Correct.
think I think I'm at that place already, but I don't mind sleeping on it, because I do think that I need to come to this decision for myself. So I'm in full alignment with what you said.
Cool. Well, I'll look out tomorrow, see if I get a text from you. If I do, look forward to hopping on the line tomorrow and we'll go through all the details.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, Javi. Good to connect with you. I'll look out for a message tomorrow.
See
And
you
that's
later.
it, guys. How often have I had to do that, Ivan? I don't know, maybe 30 times, 40 times over 3 and a bit years of selling. So it's not an often thing. You might do it a couple of times every 6 months. But the reason we're doing it is very contextual, which is Harry's root cause of his problem is that instead of deciding he wants something and making it happen, he decides he wants something after something's happened. I've got a date. How exciting. Let me make sure I don't fuck it up. Cool, but after the date, when you don't have any more dates, how motivated were you to go and get more dates? Oh, I wasn't really that motivated. You see how what we're doing is we're selling the prospect the reversal of their mental model to be one that actually solves the problem for them, which is you need to be motivated regardless of the fact you don't have results outside. It's the same as what we teach here, guys, which is when you're not closing anything, when you're not earning any money, when your calls are not showing up, when life sucks, what is your internal state? Well, my internal state is a reflection of my external reality. Well, have fun, keep manifesting more of your external reality then. What you need to do is, despite the fact that my external reality is A, B, C, and D, which is not good things, I'm going to choose a positive internal state. It's the same mental model that we teach you guys here. This guy gets motivated when he all of a sudden gets one match on his dating app every 4 months. Oh, now it's so important for me that my core reason is to meet someone. Well, it hasn't been that important for you to actually do anything and everything you can to get the dates. It's only that important for you when you get the date. Does this make sense? All right, folks, we'll leave it there on this call. Let's go through any takeaways from Bradley, Harry, and anyone else here, and any questions. Who has got a takeaway? Put your hand up. I'm just reading the chat here. Tyrus, he allows his circumstances to take control of his life, 100%, external versus internal. And so, in conclusion, the reason that we got to this, guys, was because there wasn't some internal motivation that superseded the 3-year track record. We were looking for that. Was there a turning point? Was there a signature moment? Did something change? No, nothing changed. Well, that's fine then. But if nothing's changed, then we're not going to bring you in this program, because you seeing our advert and liking what we do is not enough. It's not enough for you to drop 15 grand, and it's not enough for you to do the work. Because one thing you've got to always remember for people, folks, is coming into the program is the beginning of the hard work. Even if it's a fucking done for you service, they still need to respond to emails and work through the application forms and whatever. If you think, oh, I managed to get someone over the line to get into the program, now they don't need motivation. No, they need motivation after they get into the program. So you have an ethical duty to make sure that that motivation is deep and it comes from within them, especially on something like Harry's program. And I assume, Bradley, yours is a little bit less intense than Harry's, but you know, they're going to have to go and take photos. They're going to have to go to certain locations. They're going to have to go and wear certain clothes and dress better and get a haircut. For a lot of guys, even though it doesn't sound like that much hard work, if they're busy guys or if they're just not used to doing that, that's things that they're going to find excuses to not do unless they truly have high internal motivation. Like Rayanne said, the program is not the magic pill. The program is the first step on the journey. Just like the mastermind. Oh, I've joined the mastermind. I'm going to be a unicorn closer. No, you've joined the mastermind. Now the journey begins to becoming a unicorn closer when 95% of you won't make it. That's the harsh reality. Okay. All right. Let's go through some questions and takeaways.
Hello. Hey, Josh. Thank you so much. That was awesome. I joined a little bit late, so I missed some of the stuff. I also just joined on Wednesday, so really excited to be here. The main thing for me there was just like the pattern recognition that you had with Harry, like for the last 3 years, like only having the motivation once he gets the result. Like that's obviously something he didn't even realize was going on for him. So being able to bring that front, like he at the end there was like, I want to work with you, etc. And I think it's great how you're serving him in the sense where you're not having him pay you right now, but just the pattern recognition of like and Ben put in the chat there, like someone with, similar idea where they only invest once they have the money, but just having them see that and bring that to light is what's going to have them realize that the way they're acting is just a self-fulfilling prophecy and how they're not getting what they want. So that was crucial for me. It's just like I've watched a lot of these role plays, and like one of the things you've said before is like the story that they tell you is where the pain is, right? So you're just extrapolating from his story of all the things that he's said that he's done in the past, creates this picture of you're not like, this is a pattern you don't even know that you have. And that's how we're gonna, overcome this together. But that was beautiful. I love that.
Glad to hear it. So a few people, I think 1 or 2 people put in the chat, what if your offer owner says, well, why didn't you close them? I guarantee you guys, if you dropped a 15K price point on that guy right now, he will hang up the phone. And that's not me being facetious. He will hang up the phone. Not give you objections. He will hang up the phone. That is absolutely certain what would happen for that type of prospect in that situation, because he will feel so uncomfortable that he cannot turn around and say to you vocally, shit, I just said that I was fully committed, but actually now I'm going back on my words because it's 15K. They won't be able to handle that. They will hang up the phone to relieve themselves from it. They will have no other operating system for how to deal with the fact that they just went on record to say they're fully committed, and then now they're about to go back on their word. They won't know how to deal with that apart from hanging up the phone and just turning off the Zoom call because of what you did, which was boxing them into a corner to buy on the call. Whereas if you'd have actually said, go and sleep on it, come back tomorrow, they get back on the call, Now, when you drop the price, and you have to remind them of the conversation you had first, when you drop the price, they will still feel uncomfortable, but they've had that 12 hours to process the fact that they came to their own conclusion despite the discomfort. They have to do this for themselves. So don't worry about what the offer owner would say, because that person wouldn't have closed. Like I said, if it's 3K, maybe. If it's 2.5K, maybe, but not for a 10, 15, 20K offer, because they've spent 3 years running a pattern. You've brought that to their attention and they're saying, oh, I've changed the pattern. No, you fucking haven't. You haven't changed the pattern because we had one phone call. You change patterns because you process changing the pattern, which is sleeping on it, or you have a turning point moment that snaps you out of a pattern. If the prospect hasn't had a turning point moment, they haven't snapped out of their pattern. Make sense? All right. Jay, what's up? FBI Jay?
I'm at the airport. I'm security. Feel poor. Yeah, my takeaway, I joined late because my flight had just landed, but it's the fact that, Harry wasn't moving on from that, which I appreciated, because it can be conflicting in those moments, like when they're not giving you what you want, if you don't align with the actual philosophy, which is that they need to have a signature moment. Like the amount of calls that I've had where the prospect is just like telling you they're committed, and they can tell you they're committed all they want, if it's free, but like they don't know the price yet. And
Correct.
so even if they're like annoyed that you're not moving on, imagine if like Harry had that conflict during the call, like trying to decide like whether he was uh committed or not, or if it was a burning problem or not. I forget the context, but it's like, how are you going to be able to? Did I
No,
cut
I can
out?
still hear you. No,
Okay,
I can
cool.
still
Yeah,
hear
I'm
you.
on my phone. Yeah, like imagine trying to solve a problem with somebody who's conflicted while you're conflicted with your own philosophies if you align with that. And so like those things need to be rock solid. That's my big takeaway, is like those beliefs and those philosophies have to be rock solid, or what to say and the questions to ask are just not going to manifest in the time that you need it.
What Jay said made me realize another way to visualize this, guys. So you might want to either draw this out or just memorize it. So Jay said something very important there, which is, they don't know the price and you do. Because you are the only one in the position where you know the price, you have an ethical duty to understand this triangle here that I'm going to draw out. Okay. So this seesaw, so to speak. So you've got a seesaw like this. Okay. On one side of the seesaw, as you can see here, you have price. You know the price. They don't know the price. Okay. So let's just say the price is 15K. On the other side of the seesaw, you have the person's backstory and you have the moment of change, which is like the turning point, the why now. Okay. Because you're the only one that knows the price, only you can know when this seesaw is going to be like this, meaning the backstory that they just gave you, which is, their track record or their history of investing in things or making changes, or how long they've been struggling with the problem before they finally decided to book in a sales call and do something about it, plus the detail and the intensity of the changing point moment is heavier than the 15K price point. So let me give you some examples of this. In Harry's conversation that we just had there, the backstory was 3 whole years of chopping and changing his mind, chopping and changing, and only being motivated externally and telling us it is a big deal / it's not a big deal, etc., etc., etc. In other words, all of the backstory of the data of this guy is certainly not looking very good for a 15K price point. Okay. Imagine if we had all of this, which we could say this was very light. In other words, it's not weighing this seesaw down. But then when we ask him about a change moment, he tells us some really deep, juicy story. Well, that turning point or change moment could be really fucking heavy. 100 kgs. This was 5 kgs. So that's 105 total. And we say this is 80 kgs. And then all of a sudden, because of this, the tide is tipping in our favor. But when someone doesn't have a very good backstory for them making a decision that's worth 15K, and they also don't really have a very heavy story as far as why it's changed now, they're not going to give you 15K. And the reason I brought this up based on what Jay was saying is if the price was zero and it was free, this doesn't matter. But you know that the price is not free, and you know the price is a big price, hence high ticket sales. So what you're looking for is a backstory and a change that when you dig into the details of the pain and the severity and them telling you it is a big deal and their turning point moment is really significant, all of that stuff together is way heavier than the price point. The prospect doesn't know this. They don't know the price point. So you have to sit there and hold your boundary based on this. Have they given me a massive change story, or have they given me a lot of, they've been absolutely crippled by this situation? Well, then my 15K price point is certainly going to be less than what's going on over here. Now, with what we just did on the call, we had some good stuff here. It's not he's not living his core reason. That's pretty significant. If I'd have got quantity on how much it's affected him financially, $800,000, that's pretty good. But we didn't really have a change point. And so therefore, I'm not going to try and pitch him because I know this is going to be heavier than what's over here. So I said, let's get off the call, go away and think about it. And then when he comes back, what have I done by giving him 12 hours or 24 hours to think about it? I've given him the opportunity to come back on the second call with a much heavier change point. Oh, I've been thinking about it for 12 hours. I haven't stopped thinking about it. I realized how stupid I am and how much money it's cost me, and that this is all my fault, blah, 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 blah. Ah, okay, cool. Well, now this has become heavier. This has now become 100 kgs, and then now it's more than this. Does this make sense?
Makes total sense. I got to go check these people's bags.
All good. All right, Jay. See you later.
Thanks.
Conversely, that's also the reason why you were able to charge more than what the actual product was, because you'd stack so much in their favor that you could just charge more than what the actual thing was.
With all the details, all the data. I'm doing what I did with Harry on this call, although usually there will finally be something where I'm not moving on, I'm not moving on, I'm not moving on, I'm not moving on until there is an actual why now. Or in a reality like this sales call here, if there isn't, I will force, it's called forcing, delaying the sale. You are forcing a delay in the sale. I'm not going to pitch you today. Come back tomorrow. And that artificially allows there to be more density in the change point moment and the backstory, because now the prospect's got to go away and think more about that stuff.
Makes sense.
Okay.
I've got a takeaway.
Guys, from the two. Yeah, go ahead, Harry.
Big takeaway. So, I'm sure everyone in the mastermind has had a prospect like this, and it's normally our fault as to why we don't get a why now. It's kind of downstream. But I don't want to speak for everyone else. I've definitely had moments like this where you're going back for the why now, and the prospect gets frustrated because you've asked the same question 4 or 5 times. What I've seen from you, Josh, which is the big takeaway for me as to how to avoid that. Yes, there's the kind of state, the tonality, the intention, not trying to be confrontational, of course, but it's just the contextualizing of why you're re-asking the question.
Yeah.
And also actually acknowledging to the prospect, I know it seems like I'm asking this question again, or basically the whole context was, there was kind of 2 parts to it. One was this doesn't add up. This is why I'm re-asking this, because this doesn't make sense. But the second reason was, I am doing this for your benefit. Correct. It's not like I'm just trying to get an answer here I want. It's like, you explained your mental model, you pointed out why you're asking me the question, you kind of softened asking me the question. You made it comfortable to ask. So that was huge for the people who it does get a little bit confrontational with. Just lay out exactly why you're asking it and exactly why it's in their best interest you get an answer to this question.
Yep, 100%. Great takeaway. Was there a second one?
Well, that was it.
All right, Bradley, final takeaways from you. What have you got?
Yeah, I have a shit ton of takeaways here, and none of them are organized. I'm going to make a post, but I'd say, just to kind of spin off of what Harry said, I feel like when it comes to scriptless selling, and like I said, I'm going to speak for myself, but I often make the mistake of seeing, okay, he's going to ask a question, he's going to have a response, think of their response, and ask a question based off of what they just said. And I have that sort of linear thinking, and I'm thinking, oh, this is scriptless. I'm not preparing another question. But what you're doing is that yes, it's scriptless in the sense that you don't know what you're going to ask, but at the same time, there's an entire meta of the conversation that you need to bring back. And in this case, it was the fact that he was extrinsically motivated. And the problem is that he never had any internal motivation. And I feel like I would have completely forgot to tie that entire backstory back into the conversation. And then the second part to that would be once you figure that out and they don't want to give you some sort of signature moment, you have to have the internal mastery to say, hey, I am in a state of abundance. I know this is the best for the prospect. I am not going to sell you. So there's two parts to that.
100%. So that first takeaway was a very powerful one. Both of them were, but that first one I have more training on. This is the difference and why there's such a difference in the power of scriptless selling versus normal selling. What Bradley just said, as far as like you ask a question, you get the answer, you ask another question, but as you're asking your next follow-up questions, you're getting the previous information and you're adding it contextually to either the next question or the total information that you're now aware of. This is the difference, guys, if you can understand this as far as an explanation, between linear investing and the fact that it doesn't go up very much and it goes up very slowly compared to compound investing. Because the whole point, the difference between compounding versus linear is the multiplication of the previous money you invested plus the additional money that's now being created from the investment. You keep reinvesting the money and therefore it compounds exponentially. And so if I now relay this over to a sales call so you can understand the difference, if you have a normal sales call, oh, what happened there? You have one question and you have a piece of information and then you go to the next question and then you go to the next question. In between each of these are the answers, etc. This is linear. Whereas with scriptless selling, as you get the answer to the previous question, I need a smaller pen here, you add that answer into the next question. So you have the answer from question one is part of your contextualization or your data or your conclusion of everything. So as you're going through the call, it's like you've got one piece of data and then the next question you have another one piece of data. But instead of it being one piece of data plus the new one piece of data, this is now worth 2. And then when you have another one piece of data, this is now worth 3 because you have this data plus this data plus this data. And you keep adding all of that data together. And so the conclusion of your sales call is the equivalent of like compound interest. You're stacking all the data together until there comes a point where you've got like 10 corroborative pieces of data, which means 10 pieces of data that all point in the same direction. And as Bradley says, you can just see the pattern. You can see how the whole thing connects together. Does this make sense? Bradley looks a bit confused. Did you get confused?
No, so sometimes I feel like when I'm staring very hard, I have a confused face, but this makes 100% sense. I get that a lot, but no, this is great.
All good. All good. All right. Any other takeaways?
Last takeaway is that it's fucking awesome to do this and see it in real time. So get in there.
100%. All right, folks. That is us for today. I will see all of you inside the mastermind. Have a good rest of your day, folks. See you inside. All right, there you go. Another high ticket sales role play. We've gone through connecting the dots, not losing your boundaries as a closer, because even though you think, I'm trying to get this sale, you have to understand the philosophy and the psychology and the principles of sales, which is someone is not going to buy if they are missing things like a strong desire and a commitment to solving it, a burning problem, and a turning point moment. When you understand these principles, you don't get lost on a sales call thinking, oh, well, I want to make a sale. I don't think this is going to make a sale. I should just try it anyway. You always have a compass. You have a compass, a guiding light, a shining star that points you in the right direction. That is not something you're going to develop by only memorizing scripted questions. So if you want to get to a point where you truly master sales, you have to get on the inside of a mastermind, could be our mastermind, where you learn the fundamental principles to making a sale and changing someone's life. As Bradley said, as other members were saying in the chat that you wouldn't have been able to see, There is a monumental difference being on the outside of the mastermind, watching free content versus actually being the one stepping up into the arena and getting to role play, having direct support, feedback, guidance from a mentor so that you can go to the next level. Already today, we've had multiple new people step up and join the mastermind. One of those brand new members had already jumped onto this call, and they only joined the mastermind literally less than 5 minutes before the live call started. If you want to be on our next live calls, we have calls every single week on a Wednesday and on a Friday. Get on the inside of the mastermind before those days come around so that you can be on the next live training. Don't kick the can down the road. Keep procrastinating, keep delaying if you actually want to make more money by going to the next level. If you want to do that, click the link below this video, join the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, and the unicorns and myself will see you on the inside.